Hello my friends, welcome to Canadian Immigration Channel. Question of the day. Should I apply for temporary resident visa or any kind of temporary visa to Canada if I was previously refused? What would be the chance for quote-to-quote success? That is usually how the question sounds when we receive it by email or, as I said, any means of communication sent to us. Now, the answer, of course, is not as easy as it sounds because, everything would depend on what kind of visa it was, what was the circumstances under which you applied, etc., etc. But let me try to simplify it for you. So say you're applying for a temporary visa to Canada because you want to attend a hockey game, which happens, say, within a couple of weeks from now. You messed up with the papers a little bit. For example, you have not provided enough of financial information, and now your visa is refused. So it's a little bit too late to resubmit your documents because now the game is taking place in like a couple of days, and it's quite obvious that the visa processing will not be finalized within that period of time. Well, the answer is no. It doesn't make any sense because by the time you're applying, by the time your application is processed, it's quite obvious for officers because that there is no reason for you to travel to Canada anyways, right? So your application will most likely be refused. Another circumstance is you're coming for Christmas, you lodged your application 3 months in advance and it was refused because, again, the documents were not prepared properly and you have overestimated your financial means and other circumstances. Now, it may actually make sense to apply, but before going to do that, right, you have to analyze the mistakes you made. And usually it's quite challenging to do so just by looking at the refusal letter. I believe we discussed it before when we gave you a few refusal examples and the way we analyze the case notes where we see what was the actual reason for refusal and when we could actually trace how visa officer came to that conclusion, right? So what exactly did he or she mean when here it says that no financial, you do not have enough finances to travel to Canada while, say, you got $100,000 in your account. And reason being, maybe the officer is not convinced in the provenance of those funds, right? Maybe you're from a country where on average people are making $500 per month, and at the same time, as I said, you've got $100,000 in your account. So how were this money earned, right? Officers want to understand how. What was how were you doing this, right? Or you sold your house a couple of days ago and now you're saying, well, okay, now I got $500,000 in my account and I want to travel to Canada. And like, why exactly did you sell your house? What was the reason for it? What will make you come back home? So you have to analyze the whole case completely. Now, another example would be work visa. Another example would be study visa because they are temporary visas indeed, and you have to dig deeper each time to see what was the underlying reason because submission of the same package of documents would eventually lead to the same result. So what I hear from time to time, oh, my consultant from Pakistan, my consultant from Mongolia, from whatever country in the world just told me to resubmit the same set of documents immediately, the same day I got the refusal, hoping for the best. Guys, the whole principle of visa application processing is built on a premises that the same set of documents under all of the circumstances should lead to the same results, to the same conclusion. So if you're submitting the same document, so exactly the same application, the result should be eventually absolutely the same. Doesn't really matter where two different officers, was it the same officer processing your visa case, the result would be the same. So step aside for a second, take a deep breath, okay? I don't know, take a shot of whiskey if you need to, right? Calm down and think carefully what was done wrong. Sometimes refusal is a good thing because it will teach you something. You will have case notes. You will have a chance to analyze what went wrong, right? Because maybe the proposed studies were not selected carefully. Maybe there was a communication gap between you and an employer and you did not understand carefully what was required by employer. Maybe it was clearly required by your employer that you have to provide or you have to convince officers that you got a certain command of English or French and you did not provide those documents necessary for officer to make a positive decision. Again, refusal has to be analyzed, refusal has to be studied. We have to dig deeper what was the actual reason for it and then make a decision whether it makes sense to go forward or say no. let's think about it more carefully. Maybe we would go for a migration application or rethink the whole situation. So if you want to discuss your personal case, because I understand it's highly individual and I strongly encourage people not to share their examples of refusal in the comment section, simply being because, again, it's quite private, right? But if you want to discuss your case, feel free to drop us a line and I will try to help you out as much as possible.